Hey, it's Soleil, and this is episode 262 of the Orange Pill Investor. I'm going to try to be quick about this because I'm going to try to do some more degenerate zero DTE momentum trade today. And just a quick check. So sometimes it's good to just let the market figure out what it's going to do for 15 minutes. And it's also good to check the macro environment. I don't necessarily want to get into a momentum trade on something if the whole market is down. Like I want the S&P 500 to just be lifting everything up. And so MSTR is testing all time highs. It hit not 238 pre-market. And then I would have liked to have caught this like 5 minutes ago, maybe. It went down to 232. But I'm going to go ahead and enter into this position. Zero DTE. And I'm going to go super cheap and grab like these 265s. And let's see, they're going to be 20 bucks a pop. So if I get 10, it's 200. Let's go. This is 50 going to cost me. 1,000 bucks. All right, let's do that. Okay. Yeah, 50 times 20 is about 1,000 bucks. So, I kind of have stop losses maybe in my head, but if this doesn't go anywhere, then I might just chalk it up to a loss. I'm not going to sit, if I didn't have a 9 to 5, I would just sit here and stare at this all day maybe. And if MicroStrategy crashed to, 10, 20 bucks or something, these probably ain't going to be worth much of anything anyway. I don't want to set a stop for 10 cents a share. I would, if the SPY was still up, I would probably just load up on 50 more of them. And but anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and set some closed positions. So let's try to sell 10 of them with just like doubling. What did I buy them for? 24. So let's do 10 at 48. And let's do 10 at triple, so 72. And let's do 10. Four is going to be 98. No, 96. I mean, it really doesn't matter. And let's do 10 at a 5x. $120. And let's do the final 10 at a 10x. Bottom for 24, so 2.5. And then I'll probably just let these cook. If if by like 2 p.m. it just looks like MicroStrategy is languishing and not really going to hit any of these, maybe I'll just cut bait. Yeah, it'll be fun. It is a very tiny, tiny portion of my portfolio and not anything that would kill me if every single one of these goes to zero. If MicroStrategy finishes at whatever 235 at the end of the day, it's totally meaningless. This is just fun. I'm not going to go so far as to call it gambling because there is at least a thesis. And the thesis is that when an asset is breaching 52-week highs, there can be like a fever. There's FOMO, and people just want to pile in because of that excitement. And I'm just gonna see if that carries us to 240 or sorry 250 maybe, and see if any of these work out. All right, now that the fun start is over, it's time to do the dishes. Whoops. Do I have anything to roll? Let's see. This 230 strike is underwater, so I'm going to have to make a decision on this one before earnings next week. But I don't really have to do anything now. And the way that I determine whether I'm going to close or manage a trade is I calculate whether it has any extrinsic value left in it. The way that you calculate the extrinsic value is to subtract the intrinsic value from the option price, and whatever's left over is extrinsic. The way that you calculate the intrinsic value on an option is if it's in the money, it has some intrinsic value. So you'll take the current price, 240, subtract it from the strike price, 230. That means there is $1,000, $10 times 100, $1,000 worth of intrinsic value in this option. Since the value of the option is about $3,300, I subtract the $1,000 of intrinsic value, which leaves $2,300 worth of extrinsic value. Meaning if I just sit and do nothing for the next 20-something days, then the extrinsic value would drain into my account. It looks like I got a fill already. All right, so 3 of my momentum trades fired, and that's 3 or 5. I don't have my glasses on. Okay, there went the other ones. So I was able to double up on 10 of my 50 momentum trades in just a few minutes. So it'll be fun to see if MSTR continues on to 250 or not. And maybe I'll just jump to the new, since this is pumping, maybe I'll go ahead and just add one more covered call for the week, which I will take off on 10:30. I will not let this go the whole week, But let's go ahead and tempt fate here. And sell a covered call. I'm going to do the 300 strike. Whoa, not 21 days out. Where'd that come from? So maybe not 300 strike. Let's do 275. Yeah, that'll work. Trying to be a little bit more strategic with selling covered calls and not just selling them at the worst possible time when the market is down. All right, I got that filled. There we go. All right, so this one, I'm gonna end up having to take this off on 10:30 anyway. I guess I don't have to, but I probably will. And same with the 250. This one is not in the money, so there is no intrinsic value. So this whole $2,500 value is all extrinsic. If there was no earnings next week, I would just let these ride. I would just let them go to expiration and then make a decision. Do I want to try to roll for a credit, or do I just want to let the shares get called away and call it a day? I also have this 35 DTE 295 call. That one has 1,500 bucks worth of extrinsic value. So I will probably take this one off on October 30th as well. And then here are my December 19, 2025 leaps. These are doing well. I plan to just let these cook. I may add to the positions on that date, but since they have the 450s available now, I will probably, oh, damn. And this is kind of annoying. I was actually going to place some long call purchases for January. It would have been nice to do that before the price pumped. But I wanted to get in on January because it's could be a historic expiration. There are people who got in on these like $50. People got in like here and paid nothing for these things. So this could be a historic expiration, and I kind of want to participate in that, but I don't want to pay. I prefer not to overpay. So I'm just going to get like 5 of these. I would love to just load up, honestly. It will be insane if these ended up being out of the money in January, and I'd have to make a decision on whether to exercise some of these. Maybe like sell 3, exercise 2, maybe of these 5. However, if MicroStrategy corrects after earnings, I will probably load up on a bunch of these. When I say a bunch, maybe try to get up to 20-ish, depending on the price. I'm happy with my buying power. That has been steadily going up, and I've been reducing a little bit of margin as well. So I will pat myself on the back for that. Tesla. Did I get exercise? No, I sold. I sold half of my Tesla position to free up some margin and buying power. Tasty Trade's a little funny. I I guess it makes sense. So on like 1027, they're going to change the margin requirements. So like half or maybe 75% of my buying power is going to just disappear when I wake up that day. Well, that's what happened last quarter. So kind of freaked me out. So just trying to make this less irresponsibly long ahead of that event. So I still have 100 shares of Tesla. Again, I'm upside down on this short call. I meant to take off these calls before earnings, and I was just recording the video about earnings crush and forgot I had these on. So that's my bad. But again, the strike is 240. There's $2,800 worth of intrinsic value. That means that there's $1,100 worth of extrinsic value in this option. So I'm not going to do anything yet. Anything can happen between now and November 22nd with Tesla. And so I may not need to even pay this to roll it. I'll decide when I have to. And again, here's a leaps in Tesla, completely speculative, and I'll just let that cook. In the IRA, this 210 covered call is getting absolutely wrecked, two of them. So I may let those shares get called away or potentially take some profits here with these basically protective long calls. So these have been printing pretty well. I have about 200 of uncovered unlimited upside delta here. Well, let's just double check. So I've got two covered calls on at the 210 strike. I've got 250. Let's add one more. This is the time to do it. So I'm just going to go 1 week out, and I'm going to be pretty aggressive with this. Let's sell a 250. Oh, son of a bitch. I still had this account selected. So I just sold a covered call for next week at the 250 strike. Okay, fine. I'll just leave it there. It's not the end of the world. All right. Selling one in the IRA account as I meant to in the first frickin' place. All right, here we go. Got the 250. I've got two 210s. I've got one 250 all the way out to November. So these three, I can say that they're covering the 300 shares here. And then I have two leaps that have done extremely well. These are probably worth twice as much as I paid for them, a little over twice as much. And so I still have one. I could sell three covered calls here, plus two more covered calls here. That's five. I'm sold 4 out of the 5 covered calls that I could sell. And I will just wait to see if MicroStrategy does some crazy shit and goes to 275 or whatever, 300, before opening up the final one. All right, IRA is done. Just double check and see what the SPY is up to. Still kind of green. All right, let me double click this so I'm actually trading in the joint account and not doing dumb shit. Oh, actually, let me go back to the IRA. So I don't like having any buying power whatsoever in the IRA. And this may sound a little weird, but I use long calls and long calls and shares as kind of a paid trading pair. I want to buy long calls when the price is cheap and sell them when the price is high, which means that when the price is high, I can actually purchase MSTR shares. And when the price drops, those shares will not drop in price as much as the long calls will. Or I could take this $900 and buy 100 shares of a mining stock. Let's see, right is 10. It's not quite enough. Let's see, let's case 12. So, yeah, I'm not going to bother. Let's buy as many MSTR shares as I possibly can with $900. Was going to be 4 shares. That might just make it. Oh shit, see that fuck? I had the here, hopefully this doesn't fill. I didn't select the IRA account. Okay. Buy 4 shares. With $1 to spare. I love it. All right. Joint account. I've got this call debit spread that I bought for like 30. It's basically at break even. I've got my limit sell for 60, trying to double up. So this will either just win or lose over the next 147 days. I exited my put position. I sold a put. And I think I bought it back for like half of what I sold it for. So that was a winner. And ahead of earnings, I think I'm just going to leave this as is. I'm not going to take any new positions in MicroStrategy until after earnings. But in this account, I also have a nice leaps here. That's up about 3x. So that's nice. The 5K account is finally doing what I hoped it would do. Actually, it's exceeded my expectations. I figured I could turn this in 5K into a 25K account in like 4 years, but I'm probably using a little bit of a cheat code because I started trading it in March of this year ahead of the Bitcoin bull cycle. So all of the mining stocks, I'm assuming, will print over the next year. And I was taking the premium that I was collecting and buying some MicroStrategy long calls, the cheapest I could get, and also some Tesla long calls. So taking a little bit of extra risk And let's see if I'm even using any margin right now. Okay, so it does say my margin risk is low. I like that. Do I have anything expiring? Today's 10/25, so I've got two CLSK 12.5 puts. I think these are going to get assigned, and I'll be glad if they do, actually. I sold some really aggressive at the money puts here because my average cost on these is 15 on 200 shares, and if I can get assigned two more at 12.50, that's going to bring my average cost down probably by $1.50 to 14.25, 13.75 ish. And that makes these $11 and $12 strike covered calls that these may get called away. That'll make that much more palatable. If my average cost is 13.75, that's only taking like $100 or $200 loss on either one of these. And I know damn well I've collected more than $100 or $200 selling covered calls against these just week after week after week after week. Anybody who's new and doesn't really know if they're doing this shit right should absolutely take a spreadsheet and calculate your true cost basis to let you know if you're doing the if you're doing the right thing. But I also don't panic. Like if I'm buying something here at 23 and then the price drops 30%, I know that my account is down because the stock is down. It's not down because I somehow messed up the covered call strategy. In fact, if I'm selling covered calls here and here and here and here and here and here, I'm probably going to be down less than 30%. Even though the stock is down 30%, I should be down 20%, 25%, something along those lines. So yeah, it's good to have a trading journal or a spreadsheet just to keep track and making sure that you're holding yourself accountable and not just playing hunches and playing, a little bit of like, I think some of the gambling addicts, I think it's called revenge betting. So they lose and then they go right back to the ATM. They're like, "Oh, I just got to get back. I got to get it back." And then you make bad decisions doing that. So none of this is financial advice, but I do feel comfortable advising people to keep a journal, keep track of trades, give yourself an honest evaluation, maybe monthly or quarterly. Just look at the account and say, okay, is it up or down? Because I executed this strategy correctly. Like if I started selling covered calls here, my account's probably going to do pretty well by the time I got to here. But how, should I have made more? So even though you're printing money during the good times, you should still give yourself an honest evaluation to say, could I have done better? I must really love freaking tangents because I seem to go off on them pretty regularly. So I will do nothing with these. I'm kind of hopeful that I get assigned. It's gonna make my dollar cost averaging look better, and I don't feel any urgency to enter into any new contracts. I like having an extremely low margin risk, especially when things are going good. If Bitcoin crashes 20%, that's when I really want to go hard into margin if I'm being risky and using margin at all. But let's see if Tesla took a little bit of profits in this one yesterday. So I sold it for 119. I can sell one more for 148. So let's do that. Okay. My average cost is 49. So this is almost a 3x on these Tesla calls. So I will book some profits there. Still have 2 more to go that I need to manage by, let's say, 3 months early. So by December. And I've also got one, it's not quite a leaps, but it's at least out 8 months. And I will just let this cook. Oh, could almost triple up on that one though. If I get assigned these CLSK shares on the close today or over the weekend, I will open up 2 new covered calls on Monday, knock my cost basis down a little bit more. My riots, I've got 5, 10 and a half strikes. These are all upside down. Again, when these become in the money, no, these are not in the money. Okay. Never mind. Thought I was going to do my little intrinsic value collection or calculation. Okay, so these are fine. They're just going up in price because my strikes are being threatened. But again, I've got until November 22nd. You know what? I think Riot has earnings. Okay, so Riot has earnings the same day as MicroStrategy after the close. That kind of went overlooked for me because all I'm thinking about 24/7 is freaking MSTR. So I may take these off before earnings, but I kind of just don't care about the mining stocks as much as I do my precious MSTR shares. Let's see, my average cost on Riot is $9 anyway. These get called away at 10 and a half, $11. That's fine. I'll have collected all the money on premium plus 10% gravy, 10, 15, 20% gravy on top of that. But I've got a week to decide what to do with that. So I think that is everything. I'm just going to let these cash secured puts expire today. They'll either win or lose. And then these 1122s, I don't have to make any decisions on until earnings. Or for CLSKs, in CLSK's case, they don't have earnings until December. So that is nothing to worry about. Oops. I think that's everything. I'm shooting for 350 videos for this year. I'm at 262. It's 90 more videos in 60 days. So I'm going to have to make 2 videos a day some days to make up for some of the days that I'm going to miss as well. But either way is one hell of a goal. And anybody who watches my videos and also watches Quant Bros, you'll know that that they go for quality over quantity. And apparently I go for quantity over quality. But hopefully the quality is getting better. I plan to do a few things to make them better. I think X sucks as far as trying to catalog and find videos. At least in YouTube, I could probably search for like Orange Pill Investor episode 13 and I could probably find it. But X, the search feature is trash. So I'm probably going to put together an article and just catalog every single video I've done, put a summary of what's in each one. I already added, timestamps. I think that was a valuable addition at one point. And then maybe I'll like get some video recording software and start editing out silent portions and make them more efficient to watch. But for right now, I kind of like just pressing record, doing everything in one take, no cuts, no edits. I I think it's pretty authentic, number one, but number two, it just saves me the trouble. As soon as I click stop recording, I can just drag it over, upload it, and get it out there. So it's definitely more efficient on my time to just press record and post shit and let you guys watch it at 2x speed. What else? I will probably start doing some spaces and some during trading hours and just watch the market. Anybody who wants to join a space and watch the market, and maybe I'll take some suggestions. Uh, take a look at this, take a look at that, and we can look at it in real time. And then if I can figure out live, our True North episode last week worked pretty well in Riverside. So maybe I'll take a look at that. I think I tried to restream through, what's the gaming one? I used to stream some of my Magic the Gathering games online. Oh god. I can't anyway, doesn't matter. But when I tried to use it to stream X Live, it was just a black screen. I was bumfuggling it and couldn't get it worked out. So Riverside seemed to work well for Quant Bros, and I maybe give that a shot and do some live streaming during trading hours or when the hell ever. And also thinking about interviewing a couple of people. I've got some what I think are interesting ideas that are a little bit more basic than what I think we want to discuss in the True North calls. Like those calls are kind of high level. It might even a lot of shit is even over my head sometimes. I'm just grateful to be able to absorb that high level information direct from these amazing analysts. But I think maybe I'll record some side interviews with folks, and that might be a good opportunity to break it down at a basic level so people who are either beginning to get into the space, or into finance in general, to start learning some of those things. So if I can strong arm some folks into to joining me on a call, I may try to put together some collaborations on this channel. Um, my thought for doing a video a day was basically like, I'm not really comfortable talking in front of people, and at first it was kind of like, I know he's going to watch these videos anyway, so it really wasn't that hard to talk into the camera. But I just wanted to develop the habit and get to where I didn't feel like an asshole on camera, talking to myself, pretending to talk to other people, and kind of getting over a little bit of a fear of public speaking, and just make it kind of a normal thing that doesn't get my blood pressure up too much. And at this point, I can get a half-assed idea and just turn the camera on, click start recording, and then ramble for 20-30 minutes without too much without too much sweat. That True North video though, I was sweating bullets because I was a little extra nervous because the talent was so high, and it was the first episode and just not sure how it was going to go. But that's roll day, and that's me having a nice ramble at the end. So I think I'll leave it there. Be good, Joe.